how is this going to work in terms of translating from English to Hebrew?
No need.
No need. Okay.
You're in Israel, everybody
Sorry.
speaks at least two languages anymore. So, Dan, thank you for joining us. And let me do this. Oh, it may be yours. With my first question, I'll go back to your... Okay, you don't need a translation. At least not now.
At least not now. Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, thank you. With my first question, I'll go back to your past and taking you back to those days where you were an executive with MasterCard, I guess having fun and earning a lot of money, and somebody calls you and says, we have this little Israeli company. Did he say Israeli, by the way?
They did.
Okay.
That was the second thing they said.
Okay.
First thing they said was a very interesting e-commerce company.
Okay, so we have this very interesting e-commerce company. You're sitting there, you have a family, you have a nice house, you have a very good job. What the hell were you thinking when you decided to not to relocate, but to switch jobs and to go to Vietnam?
Well, it was a very different time back then. This was 1998, actually. And at that point in time, I was at MasterCard. I was running a debit program there. And was getting a number of calls from various companies, e-commerce companies. And the recruiters would usually start out the conversation by saying, well, you're in payment systems, so you must know something about e-commerce, right? And I would say, sure, I know something about commerce. I don't know about e-commerce. But yes, let me hear about the company that you're calling about. And I heard a lot of different kinds of companies, but not a lot which stirred up a lot of passion. And really what happened with, at that point in time, deal time as it was called then, was I heard about the concept. I thought it was very, very interesting, intriguing. I went to the website. I told the recruiter to call back, let me check the website out. And the website was horrific, awful, the worst thing you could possibly imagine. It was designed by an engineer, but the only people that could use it were engineers, and I'm not an engineer. So I forgot all about it. I got a call 2 days later. What did you think? Not much. Well, it turns out that there's this. Thank you. So keep this, okay. Turns out that there's this gentleman by the name of Nachum Sharfman who's coming into town, and would you at least take 15 minutes to talk to him? I said, I'll take 15 minutes to talk to him, but I'm really not interested in this company. And that 15 minutes turned out to be about 2 hours. And it was Nachum Sharfman, for those of you who are not familiar with him, was one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. Really fundamentally changed my life in many respects. And in talking to him for that 2 hours, I realized what he wanted to build. And when I told him how terrible it was, he started laughing. That's exactly why you're the person for us, Dan. And let me tell you about the vision I have. And let me tell you about why this is such a powerful thing and why I need you and why I want you to come and join us. And after that conversation, I came back and was just incredibly excited. My wife was much less excited. The conversation actually started in 1998. I actually joined up with them in January of 1999 as CEO.
All right, so give us a very short history, like 30 seconds history of Shopping.com. You joined in 1999, and then what?
The first time we filed for an IPO was March of 2000. First time.
Based on which revenue, by the way?
We had incredible whopping revenue of $500,000, up from zero in 99. We did file to go public in March of 2000, March 23rd, I think it was, because that was the absolute height of the NASDAQ. So we went from boom to bust, hired about 200 odd people and laid off about 120 people.
So you went through the ups and downs.
Ups and downs.
When did lead time change to make you shopping?
So during 2002, we actually went in pursuit of a very active strategy of co-branding and white labeling at a point in time where a lot of comparison shopping sites decided they wanted to remain branded sites only. And one of the people that we in the bus that had hired a bunch of people, more than 200, was a company called Alta Vista. They had owned the URL shopping.com and wanted to make this into a shopping portal. And when the bust happened, we had been talking to them for a long time. We said, we'll take it over for you. We'll save you all the cost, and we'll simply provide you a revenue share. So it's pure incremental revenue for you. They said, great. And by the way, we have this URL called shopping.com. Would you like that too? And we said, yes. You have to remember in 2002, I never forget going to a dinner party, and somebody asked what I did. And I said, I'm in consumer internet. And they looked at me like I worked in a toxic waste factory. It was a very, very different period of time back then. So they essentially gave us the URL. It was a draw for $200,000 against RevShare, but it was effectively a gift.
Do you remember the revenue numbers year by year since starting to generate revenue until you actually sold the company? This is a test, you know?
Yeah. Year by year. Well, we bought, I think we were roughly at $25 million sort of towards the end of 2002. These are rough numbers, so don't hold me to them. We then had been talking with a company called Opinions for quite some time. We got the URL shopping.com. We essentially parked it. We decided we were going to do a massive rewrite of our site and rebrand ourselves as shopping.com. In the meantime, we've been talking to Opinions. We reached an agreement with them to buy the company. We thought this is a wonderful opportunity to take the what to buy of deal time, the where to buy of deal time, the what to buy of Opinions, merge those two together into something called shopping.com.
And what was the maximum revenue ever of shopping?
We were at about 135 million run rate when we sold to eBay.
Market
cap? We sold eBay all in as accounting for everything and all the options, about 680 million.
Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
You made all of us proud, by the way. You know, in any presentation when we represent the Israeli internet story, we always talk about shopping.com. So thank you for that you created that story. Later on, we're going to see somebody else who have created that story, or actually a couple of entrepreneurs, both of them are working on this. So you sold shopping when?
Sold shopping in, the deal closed in August of 05.
05. I'm just guessing that you could
We went public in 04.
Okay. Again.
Second time.
Actually likes going public?
Be careful what you wish for.
Okay.
No, it was a great experience.
So I'm just guessing you could have gone after any kind of an executive CEO job that you would wish for, given your past experience and given what happened with shopping. What made you actually cross the line? Why become an investor and not continuing on that very successful track?
Well, it had been about 6.5, almost 7 years that I'd been with the company, really from 8 people and no revenue all the way through going public and then the sale. And it was a long 6.5, a great 6.5, but a very long 6.5 years. So I needed a break and decided to try my hand at investing during that period of time, and sort of kept going.
Are you still happy with that decision?
Still happy. Still happy.
Good, so let's see.
For the most part.
You are involved with a number of Israeli startups.
Mm-hmm.
I named some of them. And, you know, living where you do live, which is, again, Connecticut, not Israel, and seeing all those many opportunities in the east and west coast of the United States, what makes you get involved with Israeli companies? Why invest in Israeli startups?
Well, you know, it's really about the company. It's not about the geography. And I invest, like hopefully we all do, in companies that I can get really passionate about, excited about, particularly in terms of the opportunity, in terms of the team. The geography is, frankly, much less important. It so happens that I have a great affinity for Israel. I happen to think that Israel is, in some respects, the second center of technology, and has the kind of culture and ecosystem that develops great companies and great entrepreneurs. But that it's not because it's Israel that I would invest in a company. It's because it's a great company with a great team.
Did you invest in a very early stage company in Israel ever? Very stage, entrepreneurs, seed stage, coming to you, pitching, asking for, I don't know.
I did.
Money? You did?
Company called,
Yeah.
yes, I did.
What's the name?
Pier 39.
Oh, I know that company. Yeah, for the record, or for full disclosure, Pier 39 is a Canaan portfolio company.
But it wasn't when I invested.
It was not that, right?
Right.
And you also invested in other Israeli companies which then became backed by venture capitalists from Israel, right?
Right.
So, you probably saw many hands being raised here in the audience. These people are going to create companies. They are going to come up with great ideas. Next thing that happens is that they call you and say, I have this great idea. What would you be looking for your next early stage investment? What do they have to comply with? How do they have to look? Give us some tips as to what is that you are looking for as a US-based successful ex-CEO and current successful investor. What do you look for in entrepreneurs?
Well, it all depends on whether it's an idea company or not. Idea companies are very hard to fund. I and we have funded them before, but they usually tend to be companies that have an entrepreneur who's had specific success in the specific general area that they are presenting an idea around, and that idea is very unique and very differentiated, and they've got a team already in place to execute against it. And they've also got a fairly clear definition of what the product looks like, even if it hasn't yet been built. So I guess what I would say, if all those things don't apply, then the next thing you really need to do is to build a basic prototype. There's nothing, it's not a PowerPoint. You need to see what it looks like and how it lays out and have a feel for the product, because it really is fundamentally all about the team and the product.
Don't waste the time calling you before.
Unless you have,
I just want to make
sure. No, I mean, if it's just a PowerPoint and you don't have really relevant experience and successful experience, then the reality is you probably will. It's not something we or I would invest in.
Good. I think that we're going to thank you at this time, and we're going to follow up with you when the final guy is here. So
sure.
In the meanwhile, thank you very much, Dan Ciporin.
Okay. Where do you want me to sit now?
Keep the translation.